Dear colleagues, good morning. My name is Francesco Gaetani from the Regional Office for Latin America and the Caribbean of UNEP, the United Nations Environment Programme. My presentation for today is about the importance of data and information to ensure a sustainable development in Latin America and the Caribbean. Just a few lines about myself and my background. Since 2015, I work at the Regional Office for Latin America and the Caribbean of UNEP, and I am the regional coordinator for the sub-program number 7, which is essentially focusing on environmental information, analysis, and assessments. Before joining UNEP, I had this great opportunity to serve in the GEO Secretariat for 5 years as an expert for the disaster risk reduction area and for the global urban observation societal benefit areas. I have more than 20 years experience in environmental modeling and observation, and specifically in the domain of disaster risk reduction and environmental management. The United Nations Environment Programme, or UNEP, is the leading environmental authority in the United Nations systems. The regional presence of UNEP is ensured through 6 regional offices, 2 of which are in the Americas region. My duty station is in Panama City, and Panama City is the regional office for the broad region of Latin America and the Caribbean, 33 countries. Besides the regional office in Panama City, in the region, there are other national, sub-regional, and project offices that are focusing on the role and mandate of UNEP as an environmental organization and program of the United Nations. The work plan of UNEP is implemented through 7 sub-programs. My sub-program and my role as regional coordinator of the sub-program on environmental data is quite important and central to the entire organization and also to the United Nations systems in the region. And the importance of data and information in the fulfillment of the United Nations mandate, and specifically of UNEP, has been recently reiterated by the 3rd session of the United Nations Environmental Assembly, as you can see in this slide. And specifically the ministers of environment that convened in Nairobi, Kenya in March 2019 called the UN to develop a global environmental data strategy by 2025 in cooperation with other relevant United Nations bodies, and most importantly, to support countries to improve national environmental monitoring systems and technologies, including the use of Earth observation, which is very much an important and central role for the group on Earth observation. Additionally, it is worth mentioning that UNEP is a participating organization of GEO since the very beginning of the group on Earth observation. And in this role, in this mandate, is very much active in cooperating and working with GEO, both at global and regional level. UNEP has an important role globally in its capacity of as a custodian agency of 26 key environmental SDGs indicators. And in this capacity, UNEP is committed to work with the global scientific community to develop consistent and robust metadata, and also to support countries in the implementation of the Agenda 2030, and in particular to set up institutional and technical mechanisms required for the systematic production of indicators and data that is needed for the production of these indicators. In the region over the last years, we had a quite important number of initiatives and projects focusing on providing capacity and developing capacity at national and regional level for the production of SDGs indicators. And in particular, we piloted 3 important indicators in the region for the development of methodologies for the production of indicators at global level. UNEP works also at global and regional level towards the full implementation of evidence-based policy and decision-making. And in this framework, it supports key initiatives and platforms such as the IPCC, IPBES, and also regularly it produces key assessments and reports about the state of the environment and its trends. The flagship publication of UNEP and the most important publication produced by our organization is the Global Environmental Outlook of GEO, whose last version or edition has been presented last year at the occasion of the 3rd session of the United Nations Environmental Assembly. UNEP is also working closely with the scientific community to produce regular updates on relevant environmental issues. A quite important and interesting activity that has been developed over the last month is the production of a report on the zoonotic diseases and how to break up the chain of transmission. And this report is particularly important, especially for Latin America and the Caribbean, because it investigates about the very close relationships between the ecosystem management, in particular the natural ecosystem conservation and management, and the outbreaks of zoonosis and emerging diseases. At regional level, UNEP is quite active and very much engaged with member countries. And in particular, since 2004, the sub-program on environmental data and information is facilitating the work of a working group on environmental indicators that has been established in the framework of the Forum of Ministers of Environment of the region. This working group on environmental indicators has been instrumental in the designing and establishment of the very first set or framework of indicators meant to measure the pathway of the region towards the implementation of the Millennium Development Goals and now the SDGs. Obviously, since 2015, because of the adoption of the Agenda 2030 and SDGs, this working group is now working mostly on the implementation of the SDGs and specifically on the production at national level of SDGs indicators and related data and parameters. Regional activities conducted in Latin America and the Caribbean through my sub-program are focusing on how to reinforce the science policy interface in the region. In this extent, a regional environmental information network has been established in 2015 to reinforce the capacity of the region to produce science-based data and information and to support and advance the discussion between the scientific community and the policy and decision makers. We had a number of very interesting meetings of this regional environmental information network, and we're now in the process of redesigning this network at agendas that are very relevant for the region. In the broader context of how to reinforce the science policy interface of the region, and also to conclude my presentation, I would like to provide you with a very short overview of a recent initiative that UNEP, the regional office, is promoting in the framework of the Forum of Ministers of Environment. This initiative, in our vision, could be a good opportunity for the region to reinforce the collaboration with the GEO community, and also to really inform countries and provide countries with critical information and very useful tools and mechanisms to access and use Earth observation for sustainable development. The idea is to establish a data and information framework to strengthen the Forum of Ministers of Environment of Latin America and the Caribbean. And essentially, UNEP is committed to produce a biannual report on the state of the environment, and to use this very visual report based on infographics, charts, multimedia material to track regional progress and assess environmental performance towards the implementation of the Agenda 2030, but also other very important regional agendas like the Samoa Pathway, the Sendai Framework, and of course the Paris Agreement and other relevant multilateral environmental agreements and agendas of the region. The contents of the report will feature regionally relevant SDGs indicators, ILAC indicators, which are indicators that have been developed in the region for specific regional processes and dynamics, and environmental performance indicators. The report will be produced every 2 years and officially presented to the Forum of Ministers for information and discussion at the occasion of their biennial ministerial meeting. The implementation and delivery of the reports will be fully based on 3 main areas. The first area is relevant to the data and information collection, validation, publication, and sharing. And data and information feeding into this area should include, of course, both Earth observations, so sensed by in situ and remote observing systems, but also socioeconomic data, serious, derived from census, monitoring, surveys, and studies conducted at local, national, and regional level. Another important area of this framework and the report that is considering the implementation of the framework is the enhanced capacity of the region to model patterns and trends of environmental change. And in this case, the idea is to partner and to collaborate with key regional and national research centers to develop methodologies and approaches for the production, the systematic production of this information, and to establish a regional e-infrastructure to produce, for instance, consistent outlooks and scenarios of future changes in key ecosystem variables. The third and final area, considering in the design of this report and framework, is the area that is related to the communication of the state of the environment and its trends. And the idea is to develop a platform which is essentially a tool available for countries and other stakeholders to access to key information relevant to environmental issues. So this data platform, including SDGs, regional indicators, will be accessible both through the UNEP World Environment Situation Room, which is the UNEP official institutional platform developed by our headquarters, but also through the regional SDGs Gateway that is intended to be the SDG hub for the entire region. In conclusion, the implementation of this initiative will have an impact on several key areas related to the environmental information and data in the region. First of all, this initiative will enhance the availability of environmental data, indicators, and statistics, including the production, validation, maintenance, integration, and use of environmental information across the region. Will enhance understanding on environmental change, and this will be achieved also through a very strong collaboration with the scientific community and specifically with the Group on Earth Observation and the MEVGEOS initiative. Will develop capacity or build capacity in the region, providing the opportunity to enhance the capacity of countries to access to key environmental data and information, and to process this information, add value to this data, and to produce useful and usable information. And the idea here is to possibly base this kind of collaboration on South-South cooperation. And lastly, the establishment of this initiative will consolidate and make much more robust a range of strategic partnerships, both with scientific institutions, both with technical experts working in the ministries of our member countries and other stakeholders. And the idea is to really expand both the operational and the political relevance and incidence of the forum in the region. These slides concludes my presentation, and I stand ready for answering any questions or comments you may have on my presentation. Thank you very much.